Welcome back to another Bellows Blades video, and today we're going to be doing an unboxing that I'm particularly excited about. This is a knife that just hit the market. I was hoping to actually be able to get this video out a little bit earlier, but there was a delay in the shipping, and so I ended up getting this knife a couple days after I was hoping to get it. But still really excited about it. There are a few videos out there. Some other people have already got their hands on this knife. But this is the Civivi Buster FG that we are going to look at unboxing today. And so really excited about this. Just from early looks at it, I think Civivi probably knocked it out of the park on this one. And as you might have noticed with some of my last videos, most recent videos, I've kind of been on a larger knife kick anyway. I had no idea this was a large knife other than just when I went to purchase it, seeing the blade length, realized, hey, that's actually a pretty decent sized knife. But I'm thinking that from just seeing some first looks out there, this thing is pretty beefy sized knife. And so we're going to take a look at this as we unbox it. I'm okay with that. Some people, I think, were actually disappointed with how large the knife ended up being. Like I said, I've kind of been on a large knife kick anyway lately. So for me right now, that's just kind of a plus. That's an additional item in the bonus column there, in the pro column. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and take a look. Again, this is an unboxing, so it's kind of a first look video. I won't be able to tell you a whole lot about it other than my initial impressions until I get a chance to actually use it. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Of course, Civivi knives, they come in the nice little pouch here. And so that's usual for them, nothing unusual there. They come with the little cleaning cloth, little booklet, your maintenance instructions, couple of stickers. You got your Civivi stickers that come with that. And then, of course, the reason we're here, the knife itself. Oh, yeah, look at that. So, definitely a larger knife. This is not a small pocket knife by any means. And so you can see I ordered, obviously, the gold and green. Gold and green. I'll get to that in just a minute. The gold and black handled version. The reason I said green there, actually, a little bit of a slip of the tongue. As you might have heard before, I mentioned on my channel that I am colorblind. And in the pictures, when I saw this knife, I actually thought that the gold was a bright green. And I thought it looked really, really cool. And I was like, oh, I want the black and green one. Nowhere in the description does it mention the accent color at all. It only mentions black. So I had no way of knowing that this wasn't green until after I'd actually already placed the order and purchased it. And then I saw someone else commenting about how good the gold looked. And I realized, okay, so I thought I was getting a black and green knife. I'm actually getting a black and gold. Now, in person, I can tell that this is gold, and I think it looks really nice. You be the judge, but to me, that black and gold actually does look really nice. And I'm definitely not disappointed that it's gold instead of green. I would have been okay with either one, but so that being said, that was the little slip of the tongue there. That's where it came from. I want to go ahead and take a look at this thing, and let's go ahead and open this thing up. Now I expect to have really smooth action on this. It is a Civivi, and sure enough, that's what it feels like. And then you're going to see here that this thing comes with the Civivi Superlock, and that's that lock on the spine right here, ambidextrous lock on the spine, allows you to shut it and keep your fingers out of the way of the swinging blade. So that definitely is a selling point on this knife as well. Now mine here, actually, I've also handled a Vision FG. To me, this one feels quite a bit stiffer. Of course, I haven't had any time to break it in yet, but it feels like you got to put a lot more pressure against that spring. Like the spring's quite a bit stiffer, which might make sense since you've got a heavier chunk of steel there that you're also working with. So yeah, let's just real quick here, guys. I love the look of this thing already. Like, yes, this was a good purchase. Just from an aesthetic value, love the look of this knife. You're going to see there, designed by Snecx. So this is a Snecx Tan Design, the same as the Vision FG was also designed by the same designer. The one who came up, I believe, with the Superlock. And so great collaboration there between Civivi and Snecx Design. So anyway, we want to go ahead and just take a look here at the knife itself as far as some quick specs, go over that, and then talk a little bit more about impressions. So the knife itself, again, a large knife. You've got a 4.2-inch blade made out of Nitro-V steel. It's that sheep's foot blade design. That's kind of hit or miss. Some people like it, some people don't. There's kind of been a revival right now in the sheep's foot or Wharncliffe style blades with the straight edge. And I'm, I was not originally a big fan of the sheep's foot or even the Wharncliffe, and I'm starting to they kind of grow on me. I've gotten a few more of them into my collection, and they definitely have their pros and cons. But I have no problems with the design of this blade. I think it fits the knife well. And yeah, excited about that. I think it looks good. So anyway, 4.2 inch Nitro-V blade, sheep's foot style. You've got a 5.45 inch handle. This is a G10 handle scale on this one. They call it a coarse G10. So it has, I guess they would consider it fairly aggressive. It's not going to shred your pocket, it doesn't feel like, but a decent texturing on the G10. Of course, this one has the gold accents. This does also come with a version that has micarta as well, handle scales. I think that's the green version with the fully black blade. I did like the two-tone look of the blade on this one a little bit more than the fully black and the green micarta. I prefer micarta as a handle material, but the look of this one just really jumped out at me, and that's why I went with this one instead of the micarta. Anyway, so overall, you've got a 5.45 inch handle, you've got a 4.2 inch blade. So of course, if you can do math, that comes out to 9.65 inches overall. Decent size length, over 9.5 inches long. The weight on this thing is supposedly 6.2 ounces. So it's, by most people's definition, it's a fairly heavy blade, but I'll say it doesn't feel heavy in the hand, at least to me. It does feel almost like, I don't know, I guess that's not the case. It is a little heavier on the handle side, but you can definitely feel the weight of the blade itself in there as well. It doesn't feel too heavy to me. I know that's subjective, but that's my opinion on it. I don't think it feels that heavy. Some people don't want to carry 6.2 ounces in their pocket. Of course, I mentioned already the Superlock, the design by Snecx. So overall, this package is just a fairly good deal, but it does bring me up, talking about the blade being made out of Nitro-V. It brings me to a point that I just want to talk about real quick. One of the main reasons I bought this knife, honestly, was because I do not understand right now the hype, if you will, around Nitro-V steel. I don't own any knives with Nitro-V in them, so I'm going to put that disclaimer up front. And that's why I wanted to buy this, so that I could test out the steel. Because on paper, Nitro-V should be a budget steel. When you look at the qualities on paper of that steel, this stuff is not that much better, again, on paper, than your AUS 8 or your 18 CR13 MOV or your 8 CR13 MOV or any of your other budget steels. It just seems like it should fit in the budget steel category, but when you look at the prices that Civivi is charging for its knives that it's using Nitro-V in, the price reflects a more premium steel than what the stats on paper would reflect. So I'm trying to get my head around that, and is Nitro-V actually worth the extra money, or would I rather they just stick with the steel they had been using prior to starting to put so much Nitro-V in a lot of their knives? And I don't know. I can't make that judgment. Like I said, on paper, I would say no. It doesn't look like Nitro-V is worth the premium that you're paying for it. But it's not really fair to judge a steel basically just off of paper. So my idea was I want to go ahead and pick one up. And since I like the design and the look of this knife so much, it seemed like that was the way to go. Now, I will say that, again, Nitro-V, for whatever reason, is not a cheap steel. It doesn't seem to be anyway when it comes to knife prices. So this knife runs right around $100 right now. That's a lot of money for a knife for a lot of people. Other people, it's actually not that much. It all depends on what you're into. But I'd say this is kind of straddling that sweet spot between knife collectors who are willing to spend a couple $100s on a knife and your more average knife user. This has the premium feel of a more expensive knife. They keep the price down by going with something like Nitro-V instead of a higher end steel like your N390s or even S35VN. But it doesn't keep the price down as much as it could if they use something else, is my point. Nitro-V still carries, in my opinion, for what it is, a premium price tag. So all that's a lot of like just a little kind of side note rant, if you will, but it's part of the reason why I decided to pick up this knife, because I do want to put Nitro-V through its paces so I can have a fair opinion of it, other than just, hey, based on paper, I don't like this steel. And that's where I'm at right now. Based on paper, I don't get the hype for this steel. So I'm hoping that it proves me wrong as I get to using it. I may end up loving this steel. But I still think that, again, it feels like it should be more of a budget option than it currently seems to be. All right, so all that being said, that little side rant over, I did want to check here and see what the actual weight is coming in at compared to what they say that it should be. And so, again, they have this down as 6.2 ounces. And I'm, wow, not coming in anywhere close to 6.2 ounces. Let me re-zero my scale here. Okay, so we just had the scale a little bit off, maybe on an uneven surface. So there I'm actually getting 6.46. Based on some of the variation that I get on the scale, depending on the surface that I have it on, I'm not going to put a ton of faith into that. I got it twice. But anyway, it's not that far off. They're saying 6.2. I'm getting closer to 6.5. But anyway, you're looking at between 6 and 6.5 ounces. So it is a fairly heavy knife compared to a lot of pocket knives. That being said, like I said, it doesn't feel as heavy in the hand as it seems to be based on measurements on a scale or even the advertised weight. So all that being said, guys, again, this is just an unboxing video. For those of you who are considering whether or not to pick up this knife, I want you to get an idea of how large it is. I didn't bring other knives with me here other than I do have my Kershaw live wire. So you can see there that compared to the live wire, it's obviously a larger knife. The blade is significantly longer. And I did mention before that I have fairly large hands. So, you know, this thing definitely fills my hands. You've got an easy full-handed grip within the spot that they have basically designed into the handle for your hand to go. Pinky lines up for me right where it should. My pointer finger right where it should. So everything fits perfectly as far as ergonomics for my hand. You also have a little bit of a choil there, finger choil that you can choke up on the blade if you need to. You've got jimping on the back. Gives you a good grip, feels good. It's not a super aggressive, but enough to give you some purchase there when you're gripping, choking up on the knife. Ergonomically, this thing feels fine. You're not getting hot spots off of the Superlock. Maybe a little bit of one off of the pocket clip as you're, you know, if you're doing some real heavy cutting, that might start to do a little bit of aggravation there in the palm of your hand. Pocket clip, nothing really to write home about. Very basic, typical design for a Civivi. It's not really a true deep carry, but it's fairly close. You're not gonna have a whole lot. It's a big knife, so you're not gonna have a whole lot of the knife sticking out of your pocket, but you will have a little bit sticking out there. Again, aesthetically, this thing looks really awesome with the black and the gold. I think that works well. Mine came with some marks already on the gold, so I may try to polish that up a little bit, even though that's kind of a futile effort because I'm sure if I'm using it, it's just going to get dirty again. But starting out, you know, I want it to look nice, at least initially. Clean the blade a little bit. There's some marks on the blade out of the box as well. You do have the ability to reverse the pocket clip in case you did not see that. You've got left or right hand carry, but you only have your tip up carry. You don't have the ability to switch that. So just be aware of that. If you're somebody who cares about tip up, tip down, you don't have that option here, just left or right hand. Guys, that's it. Really quick, well, I say really quick, we're almost at probably close to 15 minutes now, but just a unboxing video, initial impressions. I'm excited to use this knife. I'm excited to find out what I actually think about Nitro-V steel. Is it actually worth the price that's typically charged for it by Civivi? Or do I wish that they would have just stuck with their 9CR steel that they had been using? You know, we'll see. I guess we'll see how I feel about that once I get a chance to use it. But design-wise, this is a nice knife, guys. It's a big knife, so if you don't like big knives, stay away from it. Go for the Vision FG instead. But this is the Civivi Buster FG. My understanding is FG stands for field grade. So it's just saying that it is made of more affordable materials, basically. So they usually have a Wii version of the knife, which is their premium version, and then they have the Civivi version, which is the FG version. And so that's what you're looking at here. What they consider their more affordable version of this knife still comes in at about $100, made out of premium materials, great craftsmanship. You know, the blade is perfectly lined up. It's smooth. You've got the Superlock. You've got just great design cues. You've got a good look, especially on this version with the gold accent. It's a nice looking knife, guys. And even though, like I said, I'm not sure how I feel about Nitro-V, it's still a workable steel. I might just have to sharpen it a little more often. It's definitely going to be tough, so that's good for a larger knife. You don't have to worry about necessarily, you know, breaking the blade unless you're doing something really crazy with it. So I think I'm going to be happy with a knife regardless, but I am curious to see how that Nitro-V holds up and whether or not my opinion of it goes up as I get a chance to use it. All right, guys, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is this a knife you're interested in? I imagine they're going to be selling very quickly, so if there's a version that you have your eye on, now's the time probably to pick it up before they sell out. But hopefully, even if they sell out of the initial batch, they'll release some more, because I don't believe this is meant to be a limited edition knife or anything. So this hopefully is a permanent addition to Civivi's lineup. But I think it's another home run by the Snecx Design. I think the Vision FG is an amazing knife. If you're looking between the two, just to help you maybe make that decision, if you like larger knives, okay, obviously go with this. If you don't, you're going to prefer the Vision. But if fidget factor is a huge, a huge part of your decision making, I would say from just this minute that I've spent with this one, the Vision FG is definitely more fidgety. This larger knife is not quite as slick and smooth and fidgety. Just a bigger chunk of steel that you're swinging around. As it wears in, it probably get a little bit more fidgety. And I've also heard that there's, I haven't looked into this, but I overheard somewhere reading or listening to something that there's like a second detent on this that possibly could be removed to make it a little more fidgety, if that's a big deal for you. But yeah, guys, I'm excited about it. Glad to have gotten it in and ready to kind of start putting it through its paces and see how this thing holds up. If you've enjoyed the video or you enjoy any of my content, I'm just going to encourage you to like and subscribe. I appreciate that. And we'll catch you next time on another Bellows Blades video.